Hi there everyone, once again we're at the Bournemouth Natural Science Society with Bethany Palumbo, who has been painstakingly conserving Tahemaa, our Egyptian mummy. Now last time I made Bethany promise if she ever took the lid off the coffin to reveal the mummy, we would be invited, and guess what? Today it's happening. But before we do it, Bethany, give us a bit of an update about how the conservation's been going.
It's been going really well. We've managed to clean Tahemaa using the spit swabs. We found on this top surface there was a lot of very dark black particulate matter. We think previously she may have been stood upright in a Victorian gentleman's house. There are gas lamps and fires and the soot collected on this top surface. When we removed it, we also made a discovery.
Oh,
that's really exciting.
A discovery already. We haven't even taken the lid off yet.
So we think this is a scarab beetle. It's got an arm on either side and it's holding the sun.
And you didn't know that was there?
No. The scarab beetle represents reincarnation.
Were you really excited when it started to reveal itself?
Very, very excited.
Like you're making a discovery?
Yeah, definitely. That's something that's not been seen for possibly hundreds of years. And it's also significant, you know, it adds to the story of Tahemaa.
So tell us, why is the lid coming off today?
Part of conservation practice is preventive conservation, and this is preventing deterioration instead of just fixing it. One of these elements is integrated pest management. We know that there are pests, domestic pests, that live inside buildings. This includes carpet beetles and web-enclosed moths. These insects eat organic protein-based materials, so this includes wool. Taxidermy is especially prone, and unfortunately dried human tissue is also vulnerable. We also know that the coffin itself has had previous woodworm infestation. You can tell from these holes. So we just want to open up the coffin to make sure that that infestation is no longer active.
So the nightmare scenario will be we lift the lid off and there's just
loads of bugs just fly out.
It'd be like in The Mummy when all those like...
And those are the ones that eat people's faces.
Oh yeah, no, that would be bad. Be a great video though. So we need to get Team Tahemaa to help us lift the lid off.
It's a lot of responsibility, Brady. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, I've lifted.
I've got everything.
You got a bit? Okay.
Okay, nice.
Here we go.
Nice and gentle.
Okay. It's all right, it's not too heavy.
Okay, Brady, would you like to take her feet?
Take the feet?
Yep.
Okay, I've got it. Which way are you going, Brian? Yep, I'm good. No problems. This way. Okay.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Team Tahemaa. How nervous were you just then, by the way?
Really nervous.
How's your heart rate?
It's fine now.
So here we are. Here is Tahemaa. First impressions?
Very good, considering she's nearly 3,000 years old. We know previously when she was taken to the hospital, part of the investigations they did was they made a hole through her linens. Into her body they put in an endoscope, but unfortunately it's made an access point for pests, so we should look around there. There's also this blue fabric. Not sure when this was put in, definitely not original. Not sure what it's made out of, also not sure if the dye is going to transfer, so we should replace that with something that's conservation grade. From the CT scans that were done in 2009, we established from the condition of her teeth, there were lots of abscesses and losses, and from that we worked out that she was between 35 and 55, we think, which for an ancient Egyptian is relatively old.
You mentioned a scan, which brings us to another very interesting object. Let me get this here.
This is a 3D print of Tahemaa's skull, and here you can see the condition of her teeth and the losses that she had. So what we're looking for, Brady, is small clumps like this. The web-enclosed moth, this is the same moth that eats the jumpers that you have in your cupboard. The larvae of this moth make cocoons, which are long and skinny.
Is that one?
Yeah, looks like it.
That seems like a big problem. Or is this, you expect this?
No, I mean, you expect there to be historical activity. What we're trying to work out is whether or not it's active. Another way to identify pests is we're looking for frass. So frass is the poop of insects. It comes out as, it looks like tiny particles of sand and they're all very evenly shaped. But we are finding some evidence of pests.
What do we got? Do you think that's a larvae casing? Or is
no, but it does look like it has some frass in it.
Are you seeing this,
Let's
James,
keep
by the way?
looking.
I'm actually helping with real conservation work here by holding this light.
It's questionable. Let's keep looking.
What's that?
Ooh, yes, that's a good one. It looks like a fly egg. It's got something in it.
Oh, yeah. So that was like an egg stuck to the fabric.
A good place to look is always underneath because the moths like to be undisturbed. So they'll find somewhere where they can happily munch on stuff without being bothered.
When you're looking at this and when you're working on this, do you think of her as like a person who would have like laughed and joked and things like that? Or because it's so long ago, does it kind of almost lose that humanness?
I definitely see her as a person. You know, for example, we'd never unwrap her. That would be really disrespectful. And we're just doing our best to preserve her for the future, you know, wherever that might be, here or back in Egypt.
So speaking of Tahemaa as a person, there are 2 reconstructions that have been made of what she might have looked like based on the scans we were talking about. Let me show you them. So this is the first one.
Yeah, I think this was about maybe 25 years ago. This was the first interpretation of Tahemaa as a much younger woman. This is from the evidence they got of the original skull scan. Obviously, technology has moved on so much. The CT scan in 2009 came out with a completely different result. And from that scan, we made a new facial reconstruction. This was made by Vanessa Pearson, who was a student at the Arts Institute in Bournemouth. So this is what we feel would be a more accurate representation of Tahemaa.
There we go. Tahemaa. 3,000 years ago.
Amazing.
Are things better or worse than you expected here?
Much better. Yeah, I think there may have been some activity in here previously, but you really want to not be finding live insects. Then we would have to work out how to treat that issue. Don't really want to use pesticides because you don't know how the pesticides are going to react to the materials used and also how they might affect the humans that come into contact with her in the future. What we would do if we found an active infestation would be to freeze her. And freezing kills all stages of insect life, so eggs, larvae and adults. Oh, there's another hole here. Where does that go? Now these egg casings, I think they might be flies, you know, because flies lay big eggs like this. I mean, but generally this linen is in amazing condition. Sorry, Tahemaa, I'm just going to peek under here. No, that's just linen. Oh, what's this? Just fluff. Oh, here's another casing, look here. You see it's attached. Oh, look, it's got someone in it. Or at least it had someone in it, look. Can you see this, James?
So that's like a dead bug, you know, is there? Oh yeah.
Yeah, see?
Nothing's moving.
Which is what you want. Okay. Another way to test for sure if anything's active, we could remove the body, clean everything really thoroughly with a vacuum cleaner, then put her back in the coffin, and then wait a couple of weeks and then check again.
I mean, 3,000 years, you can't even fathom that, how long ago that was.
No, I think as humans we're designed to not think about that because it would be so overwhelming. I'm just going to check this hole.
So that's your worry, that something's gone in there. And
yeah, exactly. And we know from the scans that there are still human tissues. When she was preserved, her internal organs were removed and placed in a bag between her legs. And we also know that her brain was left in her skull, which is very unusual for mummification. And there's a small bit of brain tissue still left in there. And these things are vulnerable. But it doesn't look like much is going on in here.
Well, Bethany, thank you to you and the Society for having us here for this moment when you were having a closer look. Do you think you're going to be all right without me holding the torch, or?
I think I'll survive.
All right then. Well, thank you.
There's a lot of surface dirt and dust, and she's also cracking a lot, and that's caused by the environmental fluctuations of where she is. So if it goes from hot to cold and dry to moist around the air, you get these deeper cracks in her substrate and the painted surface too, that's starting to flake off. So I'm here to clean her and to consolidate her.
That part looks a bit nicer there. That's because you've already you've done the business.
Yeah.
But you've still got work to do here.
I know that you do like a good before and after.
Yeah, I do.
So for that I've made this little section here. This is the dirty area.
Yep.
And this is the section now on this side that's been cleaned.